As I said, this event should have been not Mexican Independence Day. It should have been a standalone event. There should have been 2 pay-per-views this month, or of September. There should have been the Mexican Independence Day pay-per-view, then 30th of September, this should have been the Sphere card. The Sphere card should have been 5 fights, a special edition, 5 fights in the Sphere, 3 title fights and 2 incredible banging fights. And all of them should have been 5 rounds. That is perfect. That is a special event. People will pay to watch that. 5 fights, incredible idea. In the Sphere, the best production value you can get. Yes, you're paying out fighters, but you're only paying out for 5 fights, and 3 of them will get pay-per-views. None of this now of where you've overspent, so you've filled the card with fighters that you can pay 12 and 12 and then only pay out 3 decent salaries. That's what they've done. I've solved it. When the UFC originally announced the Sphere card, everyone was extremely excited, and it had so much potential, let's just say that. But in coming weeks and in previous weeks, we've come to realize that the main card is absolutely awful. Maybe 4 fights on the card I'm actually looking forward to, and they actually make sense. You know, you've got Raul Rosas Jr. fighting again, very young prospect, that's exciting. You know, he's always represented Mexico. You've got Valentina Shevchenko versus Alexa Grasso 3, the rubber match, you know, that's a fun fight. And you've also got Sean O'Malley Marab, and you've also got Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopez, and both of them called to be on the Sphere card. That's a brilliant fight, can I just say? That's a really fun one. However, Dana White claims to have spent $16 to $22 million on this card, getting Oscar-winning cameramen, everything like that on board to make this the greatest spectacle ever for viewers at home watching it on TV and people in the arena. Now, obviously, the cheapest ticket in the arena at one point was $900, not including the tax and the VAT you pay in America, which is extortionate for a nosebleed seat. And a standard seat was around $3,000 to $5,000, which is just crazy. Obviously, those prices have come down when they realized it wasn't really selling. I've got a mosquito bite on my leg. That's fucking agony. Anyway, look, all I'm gonna say, folks, is the content right now, this is my background, it's horrible. I've got an office being built right now back in the UK. They're soundproofing it, and it's going to be amazing. I'm spending money on investing in this channel, so stay tuned for that. If you guys want to subscribe, I'd massively appreciate it. I've also got Fiverr gigs available for you guys to purchase for thumbnail creation, things like that. Links all down below, and also a link to my vlog channel. I'm out here in Thailand vlogging my experience. Anyway, with that out the way, I will carry on. Just have to plug everything. I think there's a very good reason why the Sphere card is terrible in terms of star power. First of all, it's a Mexican Independence Day event being held in Las Vegas. Doesn't really make sense. I think you could have done this. I think you could have done 2 pay-per-views in 1 month and made the Sphere like a special edition one where you only maybe put. Here's my thought process. I think what they've done wrong here is they've put, I think it's 10 fights on the card, right? Or 8 fights, 10 fights. Doesn't matter. I'm getting sidetracked. What I think they should have done is done a 4 fight pay-per-view and priced it at the standard rate and say like the special Sphere card. And I think this card is where you should have put 3 title fights and 2 banger fights. I think you should have done 5 fights on the Sphere, spent so much money, made it the highest production quality ever. Like a home, you could sit at home and watch it and be like in awe of the screen and everything. And in the arena, you're paying so much for 5 incredible fights in the most incredible arena in the world, or sphere in the world. I think that's how they should have done it. That way, you're spending, I'm gonna say, 25 million on production and paying out fighters, okay? Obviously, if you're paying out 3 champions, pay-per-views come into it. However, base contracts, I bet you Sean O'Malley makes, I'm going to say 700 to show, 700,000 to win. That's what I'd imagine Sean O'Malley's on at the moment, plus pay-per-views. So he probably makes around 2 million a fight. Maybe less than that, maybe $1.5 million, $1 million. What you should have done, you should have put Tapuria Holloway Alexa Grasso, Valentina Shevchenko, and O'Malley Merab as the 3 headlining fights. Then you should have had 2 incredible fights. And it does not matter if they're Mexican or not. I want to put that out there. It does not matter if they're Mexican or not. This is it's in honor of Mexican Independence Day, but you shouldn't have done that anyway. You should not have made it, but obviously the UFC Noche, the ride this season, the Saudi money comes into it. They're being funded and sponsored, you know. I think the UFC have overspent on this, right? That's why the ride this season has come into it so randomly and out of nowhere a few weeks ago. I think they've overspent on this event, and because they want it to be Mexican themed, they've chucked loads of Mexican fighters in there. They're having to pay so many fighters, right? And the reason it's a shit card is because they're putting in these lower level Mexican UFC fighters because they can pay them less. They'll be making 30, 40 grand, or 24 and 24, 12 and 12, with 2, 3 good fights on the card. Then you can say, oh look, there's good fights, but also we're honouring the Mexican thing. I think it's a money thing. I think Dana White's sitting back and thinking, fuck, I do not want to spend hundreds of thousands on all these fighters. I'm going to chuck in loads of Mexicans that don't even really, some of them don't deserve to be in the UFC, you know? Raul Rosas Jr. is probably on 35 and 35, 40 and 40. You know, he's probably almost fought out his first contract, and he's had a few bonuses. I truly think they've made a massive mistake here, and it's sad to see, but the pay-per-views I think will do well. Obviously, I mean, you want to be able to watch it. Or what's the Sphere event going to be like? You'll want to watch the full event. You can't sell this arena out. It's too expensive. You've spent too much on it, and you've not stacked the card enough to justify $3 grand for 3 good fights, and they're staggered. It just doesn't make any sense. I think they should have done a five fight special in the Sphere. Pay to watch it, pay to get in, unreal fights, 5 of them, great event, great production value, one time only ever happening because they're spending so much. That would make so much more sense. They didn't do that. And I think, can I just say this? If UFC fans were given a budget and they were given everyone's salary and they were given how much everything costs, UFC fans would do a much better job of this whole thing. As I said, this event should have been not Mexican Independence Day. It should have been a standalone event. There should have been 2 pay-per-views this month, or of September. There should have been the Mexican Independence Day pay-per-view, then 30th of September, this should have been the Sphere card. The Sphere card should have been 5 fights, a special edition, 5 fights in the Sphere, 3 title fights and 2 incredible banging fights. And all of them should have been 5 rounds. That is perfect. That is a special event. People will pay to watch that. 5 fights, incredible idea. In the Sphere, the best production value you can get. Yes, you're paying out fighters, but you're only paying out for 5 fights, and 3 of them will get pay-per-views. None of this now of where you've overspent, so you've filled the card with fighters that you can pay 12 and 12 and then only pay out 3 decent salaries. That's what they've done. I've solved it. Let me know what your thoughts are, guys. I think it's an awful card. It's an awful card, and I think they're overestimating O'Malley's star power, and the mistake they're making is they're promoting the Sphere event rather than promoting O'Malley and Merab, which is the headliner, is what will sell pay-per-views. Everyone can illegally stream it. Everyone can watch it from home the next day. You have to sit down and decide what is going to sell. The fact that it's in a big circle, or the fact that O'Malley versus Merab is a superstar making fight. I don't know. And obviously the oil money that the Saudis have put into this is a big factor, but it is what it is. Let me know your thoughts, folks. Subscribe. I appreciate you so much. Check out the links down below. See you later.